Hello, boys. So, apparently they fucking leaked it again. I like, what the fuck? I can't make this shit up. Ziggs is gonna be part of this one too, right? He was in the little trailer. they can't actually make it so Ziggs isn't part of this one too. All right, guys. Well, I for one don't know what Xerath does. You guys don't know what Xerath does. So we're gonna find out together, okay? Here we go, guys. In fact, I don't even know what champion is coming today. All right, this is it. Oh shit, it's Xerath.
I have awakened to my great purpose.
Xerath, 4 mana 3/3. When an allied landmark is destroyed, deal 1 to the weakest enemy. Okay.
Stand in my
Levels
way.
when you've destroyed 4 allied landmarks this game.
This tiny thing supposed to stop me.
And of course, landmarks just destroy whenever they finish their countdown. Bad. His first form doesn't do much yet. Let's see what he levels into. He is an ascended, so he will actually work with the Sun Disk archetype. He's gonna have a level 3.
Now
I'll bring the doom.
Insufferable creature. Pitiful.
Right of the Arcane. Oh, it destroys a landmark. Oh, it's like crumble.
Second time's worse.
Second time's worse.
As I will.
Obelisk of power? Obelisk?
See how I command them.
Today I am feeling great.
All right. Xerath, level up.
Unlimited power. Mine to control.
Okay. This one is when an allied landmark is destroyed, it starts dealing 3 to the weakest enemy, and it levels up again with the Sun Disk. Another gift for Renekton. All right, let's see what this level 3 ascended form does.
Betrayal buried Shurima. Hope revived it. So says the betrayer.
So says the betrayer. Movie time? Yeah, guys, you aren't thinking about the implications. Movie time can be a total of like 1.5 minutes now. Xerath, 5/9. Round start, deal 5 to the weakest enemy and the enemy nexus. If an enemy unit would die, obliterate it instead. Deal 5 to the weakest enemy and the enemy nexus. All right, that's gonna kill them real fast. Shurima Snyder cut. The Shurima Snyder cut. Holy shit, that's an underrated comment. But yeah, if you have all 4 champions on the board, level 1 at the same time, with and you make them all level 2, then you are in for about 1:20 seconds of movie now that Xerath is in the game. Like, that's crazy. All right, I'm gonna go over here. I'm just gonna hop over to the side where you guys can. Okay, there's no room for me. Okay, I'm gonna shrink. I'm gonna become small. Help. Okay, Xerath. So Xerath is of course we've seen these cards. Unleashed Energy. This is a 3 mana burst. Give an ally +2/+1 this round, or destroy an allied landmark to give an ally +4/+2 this round. Huh. Interesting. I mean, 3 mana for +2/+1 isn't great, but obviously it's nice to have as an option. 3 mana for +4/+2. I mean, if you're not really, using the landmark for anything, I can see it. It's probably only going to make sense with like Xerath decks where you want to sacrifice landmarks. And then we've got Endless Devout. 3 mana 3/3. Last breath, summon a Sarcophagus, which is a free landmark token. Countdown 3, or when I'm destroyed, summoned a Restored Devout.
I'm basically
Which,
1/8 gay.
Is not
15 is-
shown here. Wait, what is a restored devout? We may never know. Rite of the Arcane.
I'm
3 mana
basically
slow.
1/8 gay.
Destroy an allied landmark or one of your mana gems to deal 4 to an enemy unit. Yeah, this is the one we saw being used. I mean, 3 mana deal 4 is kind of a big deal. If you can actually like, this card's not bad, especially if you have the ability to sacrifice a landmark. Deal 4 is like really, really premium in Runeterra. There will be a lot of metas where you might be considering running this card if you have an allied landmark deck that you're always gonna be able to sacrifice something without minding. Slow Blackspear. I mean, Blackspear is a card that requires a very specific setup. And usually Blackspear is also slow, guys. Servitude of Desolation. Summon a stasis statue to store all allied units and landmarks that died or were destroyed this round inside. Wow. And that's what the one we saw being used in the trailer. They used the stasis. So anything that died or got destroyed this round, it basically resurrects everything at the end of the round. So like you just press this button, everything gets resurrected. Not immediately. It's not like a harrowing, but at the start of next round, they're all completely back. That that is pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, for seven mana is super expensive, so it's gonna need to be against like a big board wipe. But being able to get the exact copies of things, because stasis statues do keep the exact copies of units, right? Like you're gonna keep all their modifiers and stuff. That's very, very cool. Then we've got Obelisk of Power. This is main deckable. Countdown 3, or when I'm summoned or destroyed, grant the strongest ally +2 attack. So basically, when you play this card, it grants the strongest ally to attack. When it finishes the countdown or when it gets destroyed, it grants the strongest ally +2 attack. That is not bad. That is really, really not bad. Immediately just like being a grant buff is pretty sweet. And it's really like, this is the perfect sack target for all of Xerath stuff. So this card seems like an auto 3 of in any deck trying to play for the Xerath win condition. Now, we're going to have to check out the Obelisk page and see the remaining reveals. Let me go ahead. Oh, that's much better. Oh, wait, I can do bigger. Okay, hang on. Let's check out what Xerath cards we have going. Okay, I'm gonna So Xerath's champ spell is Rite of the Arcane. It's the 3 mana 4. Again, you guys are saying slow speed Blackspear. Think about it. Blackspear is almost always slow speed, guys. Slow is basically just means about open attacking or not. Blackspear, you're almost always playing at slow speed because it doesn't work on an open attack, right? Like Blackspear is basically a slow speed card, but it's still good because a 3 mana deal 4 is still good, right? All right, then we've got, wait, why are there so many Rite of the Arcanes? Oh, these are just like the token. Oh God, because there's 2 tokens for Xerath's Rite of the Arcanes, and there's 2 tokens for normal Rite of the Arcanes. So yeah, there's 1 card, but we're looking at 6 cards here. All right, then here's the Restored Devout. 1 mana 5/3 fearsome. Of course, this isn't main deckable, but this is the one you get off of the Sarcophagus. So Endless Devout is a 3 mana 3/3 that when it dies, you summon the Sarcophagus, and then in 3 turns, it summons the Restored Devout. This card's not bad. It's gonna be very good in any sort of like landmark style deck for sure, and 100% in any sort of like Xerath deck. You'll run this card outside of Xerath if you're running like Talia or Talia Malphite. Honestly, I think Endless Devout will be a pretty good buff for like a Talia Malphite kind of deck, just like having more landmarks. This is a solid card. I think this card definitely looks a little bit stronger than it is. Like I'm sure I've seen some people talking about like using this card outside of like landmark synergy. The fact that Restored Devout is going to come out on like turn 6 or 7 makes it a lot slower than it seems, right? Like the fact that its countdown 3 is really, really slow, but this card will be nuts in terms of like being able to carry Xerath and Talia and Malphite style decks for sure. Like anything that can use any part of the synergy is very, very, very good. And of course, you can't main deck Sarcophagus. The only one of these cards that you can actually put in your deck is Endless Devout. Then we've got Risen Altar. 6 mana countdown 3, or when I'm destroyed, summoned a Dami'Yin the Unbound. And of course, this is a 7/6 Overwhelm spell shield. Woo, that's not bad. So it's an Alpha Wild Claw with spell shield as long as you destroy the landmark. But that's something that this deck wants to do anyway, right? Ruin Runner 2.0. Yeah, exactly. Ruin Runner 2.0. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. 7 mana Ruin Runner. Guys, this card is 6 mana. I swear to God, guys. You can't main deck Dami'Yin. This is like Risen Altar is the landmark that has the ability to trigger Dami'Yin if you're countdowning or destroying. Again, you're not going to main deck this card in normal streamer decks, but in a Xerath or a Talia Malphite style deck, this kind of concept is going to be really, really good. It gives you free fuel to just kill your landmark for free, and you get this like powerful unit basically on that turn. If you can get this out on turn 6, that would be really ideal. It's going to be a little bit hard because most of the ways you can pop this are going to be happening on turn 7. All right, Herald of the Magus. Is it Magus? Magus? 5 mana 4. I've seen this word so often in like video games, and I've never known how it's pronounced. I'm gonna be honest. When I'm summoned, if you've destroyed 4+ allied landmarks this game, grant your champions everywhere +2/+2 and overwhelm. And that's only if you've destroyed the landmarks before it's summoned. Does this count off of like countdowns finishing, or do you have to destroy them yourself? Because if you can just if this counts off of countdowns finishing, this card is sick in Talia Malphite. Does this, if this actually works off of this works off of countdowns, you guys are saying countdown counts as a self-destroy? This card is sick in Talia Malphite. Oh my god, that's actually pretty crazy. I mean, that deck will be able to like self-destroy quite a bit. I don't know if it might be like a 1 or a 2 of. Talia Malphite is looking like it's picking up these buffs more than Xerath himself, right? Like these cards seem like Talia Malphite is an underrated deck. Like no joke. It's not bad. It's like low tier 2, high tier 3. It's been posting like pretty decent win rates, and these cards are actually slapping the shit out of that deck. Like they're going to hit that deck hard. 3 mana 3/3 Waste Walker. Overwhelm. When an allied landmark is destroyed, grant me +1/+1. Woo! Okay. That is nuts. What? All right. That is actually crazy. This one is actually bonkers. Like Talia Malphite is having a field day with this one. I mean, it's permanent buffs. It's an overwhelm body. One allied landmark makes this good immediately. It can block the turn it's played. Like everything about this card is so crazy. Again, I mean, Talia Malphite or like some kind of, it might use some of these tools. There might be some kind of like way to splice them together, and Akshan might fit into that deck as well. But like this idea of Shurima landmarks, I don't know exactly the best way to use Shurima landmarks, but they actually have enough support to be an actual thing. Now, I don't know if it'll run Xerath. I don't know if it'll run half these cards, but somewhere in the area of Shurima landmarks, there is actually enough power tools to make it a deck. Like I said, again, guys, it's been posting tier 2 win rates already, right? Like it's already a fine deck, and it's just getting better. Construct of Desolation. 1 mana burst, create a Ruinous, Acolyte, or an Obelisk of Power in hand. Now, the Obelisk of Power is the 1 mana, card we saw earlier, the landmark that counts as 3. Ruinous Acolyte is also main deckable, and this one is a 2 mana 2/1 play, destroy an allied landmark to grant allied acolytes everywhere +1/+1. That's interesting, huh? Excuse me. Okay. So Ruinous Acolyte is kind of like a weird game plan. I mean, you can run 6 of this card by running 3 Constructs and 3 Ruinous Acolyte in your main deck. I mean, the first one you play basically will come out as a 2 mana 3/2, so sort of like an Arachnid Horror, and at the cost of destroying a landmark, but they'll grow sort of like Mistwraiths. Like every time you play one, they'll buff each other, except in this case, they'll buff each other's health as well, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. Honestly, there's the only problem with Ruinous Acolyte is the more you play of this card, the better it gets, but the more you play of this card, the harder it is going to be to actually have enough landmarks to remove, right? Like you're gonna have to this card will run out of landmark fodder really fast. Like if you play like 3 or 4 of this card, you're gonna be out of things to sacrifice for this in hand states at that point. This one, to me, I'm guessing this one will often not make the cut, but it's really, really scary. Like I could see it. There's some potential there for sure. All right, Sandseer, a 5 mana 5/4 fearsome. When you play it, it draws 1. If you drew a landmark, repeat this effect. So this is really interesting. I mean, the worst case scenario is it's a 5 mana 5/4 draw 1, which is all right, and it can be a draw 2 in a lot of cases. The thing that's kind of holding back Sandseer is that the Talia Malphite deck, or like most kinds of landmark decks, don't actually main deck landmarks as much as you might think. usually they're using a lot of units or even spells that summon landmarks, right? Like if you were to look at here is like a Talia Malphite version, something fairly close. It might be a few cards off, but like they're not really main decking that many landmarks, right? And you can think about like how often you're drawing to with Sandseer. This card might end up being a little too awkward, just because most of the ways you're playing landmarks are off of units or spells, right? It can repeat infinitely. Which is really funny. You can build a deck with like, there are enough landmarks in the game where you can build a deck with 37 landmarks and 3 Sandseers. I guess the best thing would be 1 Sandseer and 39 landmarks. There are actually 13 different landmarks that you have by a lot. So you can play Sandseer on turn 5 and just kill yourself, guaranteed on turn 5, if you've drawn Sandseer by turn 5. Now, a couple of the landmarks will help you draw the Sandseer turn 5. That'll be Ancient Prep and Preservarium. As a 1-of in your deck, the odds of being able to kill yourself on turn 5 are about 40% actually in a deck like that. That's actually pretty good. 40% chance of just being able to end the game on turn 5. I mean, honestly, that's fucking hilarious. Like, you'd make your opponent laugh. Like that would be a funny deck. All right. And yeah, here are the Unleashed Energy cards, and finally the Servitude of Desolation that we saw earlier. So overall, these cards are actually pretty good. In terms of Xerath himself, people are gonna try. I mean, he's mostly supposed to be like a mono Shreema card because his level 3 form is gonna be the most impactful. People will definitely try to mess around with Xerath. I don't think Xerath is going to end up making enough sense outside of like a mono Shreema deck, because his first form is just a little bit too weak. But he's an interesting way to try to build mono Shreema in the future. I don't know if he'll be elevating the mono Shreema archetypes to new heights. Personally, I mean, mono Shreema feels like it and Xerath aren't really going to be that good. The support cards in this case, though, are actually popping. Like, a lot of people are definitely sleeping on a couple of these cards, like Endless Devout, as well as, you know, even Herald and the Magus, and Waste Walker, maybe most of all. These cards are going to be pretty nuts. It might not end up involving Malphite. The interesting thing is, now that Shreema is getting so much landmark synergy on their own, and now that we have both Talia and Akshan, I can actually see a universe where you can run a different second region apart from Targon in like a full landmark deck or something like that. I don't know if there's any reason you would. Like, Malphite is still good and some of the Targon cards are still pretty good in that deck, but you actually do have the option for the first time ever to build a Shreema landmark deck with a flexible second region. Like, there's so many power cards in Shreema now that help the landmark game plan. You've got a second landmark champion in Akshan that was released last month, and Shreema landmarks can be, I mean, people might experiment with different second regions to run it in, right? No chip. Yeah, chip is honestly the most important part of Targon. The funniest thing, like, out of all the things, chip is actually more important than like Malphite. So yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, Targon's still looking good, but I'm sure I'll see some people on ladder experimenting with other ways of running it. Who knows? But yeah, it's looking super, super good for the Shreema landmark archetype. I know. You guys are going to say, Copium, you know, Swim, your high landmarks are troll. Again, guys, Talia Malphite's not even that bad. Like, it's not a super high tier deck, but it's a fine deck already. And like Waste Walker and Endless Devout are absolutely nuts. I think Risen Altar definitely has potential in a deck like that. Herald of the Magus definitely has potential in a deck like that. Some of these other cards for sure. Like, there's a lot of like solid cards for that archetype. But yeah, that's the Xerath reveal in a nutshell. Is that the last reveal? Do we have all the cards, or are we getting Ziggs tomorrow? I'm actually not 100%. Ziggs was in the trailer. We're definitely gonna have Ziggs, right? There's no way that we're not getting Ziggs. One more reveal. Yeah, Ziggs tomorrow, guys. Ziggs tomorrow for sure. All right, so as expected, Xerath might not have been the savior mono Shreema needed, but landmarks are looking really, really hot, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Ziggs reveal.